The alien scouts moved silently through the edge of a glowing nebula. Their ships were sleek and fast, designed for ambush. For hours they had tracked a lone human vessel drifting in the shadows. The vessel seemed abandoned. No signals, no crew voices, not even a power reading. Its hull was dark and covered in strange scorch marks. To the aliens, it looked like an easy prize. One commander sneered and said, "So this is humanity's warship? A floating coffin? Pathetic." The others laughed, already imagining the glory they would gain by dragging the wreck back to their council. But not all of them laughed. A younger alien officer stared at the ship with unease. Something about the silence felt wrong. It wasn't the silence of death, but the silence of waiting. He whispered, "Ships that are truly dead do not drift with purpose." No one listened. Orders were given. The ambush began. The first alien fighters streaked forward, firing bright bursts of plasma across the human vessel's hull. Explosions rippled across the surface, painting the dark steel in glowing colors. But the ship did not react. No shields rose, no weapons fired, no distress call echoed. It simply remained still, drifting as if asleep. The alien commander grinned. Pathetic. They cannot even defend themselves. But then one of the alien gunners noticed something strange. The plasma blasts that should have torn metal apart left only faint scars. The dark hull seemed to drink in the energy, swallowing it whole. The gunner hesitated. "Sir, it isn't breaking." His words were dismissed. More ships joined in, surrounding the silent vessel like predators circling prey. Inside the human ship, deep corridors remained unlit. Dust floated in the air, silent as a grave, but in the very heart of the vessel, deep beneath layers of armor, a light flickered once, then died. Moments later, it flickered again, longer, stronger. Across the ship, old systems hummed. Energy surged through broken lines, waking ancient circuits. Slowly, the warship began to breathe again. The aliens cheered, thinking their attacks were winning. They launched boarding pods, small craft designed to latch onto enemy hulls and cut through. The pods struck, drills cutting into the steel. The boarding teams prepared themselves, laughing about how easily they would capture this ghost ship. But the young officer's unease grew. He whispered again, "Why has no human responded? Why do they let us approach?" No one cared. The boarding pods sealed, and the first aliens stepped inside. Darkness swallowed them. Their helmet lamps cut narrow paths through the dust, but every sound echoed too loudly, like the ship itself was listening. One alien soldier kicked a wall and laughed nervously. "Empty, not even worth taking." Another joked about painting their names on the walls as trophies. But then they heard it, a sound that did not belong. It was faint at first, like metal boots striking the deck. The noise echoed down the hallway, slow and steady. The soldiers froze. "Did you hear that?" one asked. The others nodded, weapons rising. The footsteps grew closer. The rhythm was calm, not hurried, not afraid, just steady. The soldiers whispered, "Impossible. No one is here." Then, from the shadows, a figure appeared. A human soldier in black armor, helmet visor reflecting the boarding lights. His movements were quiet, precise, like a predator. The aliens fired in panic, plasma bolts lighting up the corridor. But the human moved too quickly, vanishing into the darkness. One by one, screams echoed. Outside, alien commanders waited for updates. Their comms crackled, but no voices answered, only static. The commander cursed. "Useless fools." He ordered another wave to board, but the young officer trembled. He had seen something on the scanners. For the first time, the human vessel showed life signs, not one or two, but many. Hundreds of faint signals blinking awake across the ship. He whispered, they were never dead. They were waiting. On the bridge of the human warship, lights finally came alive. Control panels glowed, and displays filled with data. A cold, mechanical voice spoke from the ship itself. Systems restored, defense protocols online. Across the hull, hidden weapons slowly unfolded, like the arms of a giant waking from sleep. The drifting ship was no longer silent. It was awake. The alien fleet, once so confident, suddenly felt the weight of their mistake. Their laughter faded. Fear settled in as they realized the human ship had allowed them to strike first, had allowed them to come close. And now it was their turn to face the storm. Then, with a deep rumble that shook the nebula itself, the human vessel powered its engines. Bright blue flames cut through the darkness, and the entire ship turned toward the alien ambushes. For the first time, the aliens heard the humans speak. A single broadcast went out, carried across every frequency. Engagement confirmed. Retaliation begins. The alien commander's face drained of color. He had thought this battle would be a simple raid, a message to the galaxy that humanity was weak. Instead, he had awakened something far worse. The nebula shook as the human warship's cannons began to charge. Its hull, once silent and dead, now burned with life. In that moment, the alien fleet realized their mistake. The silence had never been weakness. It had been a warning. The first human cannon fired, and the alien fleet saw the true face of the aftermath they never expected. The alien boarding squads moved deeper into the human warship's dark corridors. Their helmet lamps cut through the thick dust, but every step echoed too loudly. The ship felt alive, as if it was breathing with them. One soldier muttered nervously, "It's too quiet. Even dead ships make noise." Another snapped back, "Stop whining. Humans are weak. They probably fled already." Yet the silence pressed down on them, heavy and unnatural. It was not the silence of emptiness. It was the silence of something waiting. Behind them, the sealed doors of their boarding pod hissed and locked. For a moment, they felt safe. But then the doors flickered with sparks and shut down entirely. Their exit had been cut off. A cold chill spread through the squad. "That wasn't us," one soldier whispered. The leader growled, "It doesn't matter. Move forward. Find control, disable the ship, and claim it." They marched on, weapons ready, but their steps became more careful. In the distance, a faint hum started. It was low at first, almost like the vibration of an engine coming alive. Then came the sound again, boots striking the deck, slow, calm, deliberate. The soldiers froze. "Do you hear it?" Their voices trembled. The sound grew louder, closer. Suddenly, the first figure appeared from the shadows, a human soldier in black armor, visor glowing faintly in the dark. The aliens fired at once, plasma bolts scorching the walls. But when the light cleared, the corridor was empty. The soldier had vanished. Panic spread among the squad. "He was there! I saw him!" one shouted. Their leader barked, "It's just tricks! Keep moving!" But even he could feel it now. They were being hunted. One by one, helmet feeds went dead as the black-armored humans struck from the shadows. A blade swept silently across one alien's throat. A shot rang in the dark. Another scream echoed, then silence. The survivors shouted into their comms for help, but only static came back. Outside, their fleet listened to the broken signals, confusion rising. The alien commander demanded updates, but no voices answered. Only sharp bursts of static and faint screams. His jaw tightened. "What is happening in there?" The young officer beside him stared at the scanner. His voice shook. "Sir, the ship is alive. I see hundreds of human life signs inside." The commander slammed his fist down. "Impossible. We scanned it. It was empty." The young officer whispered, "They must have hidden. They waited for us to come to them." More boarding pods launched. Hundreds of alien soldiers poured in, swarming through the corridors. They thought numbers would win, but the ship was a labyrinth. The halls twisted, doors slammed shut, and lights flickered as if the vessel itself was fighting back. The aliens found themselves split into small groups, isolated and cut off. In every corner, the steady sound of human boots followed them. One squad stumbled into a vast chamber. At its center stood rows of dark pods. The aliens shone their lights over them. Each pod bore the symbol of Earth. Frost clung to the glass. Suddenly, one pod hissed. Steam burst into the air as the glass slid open. Inside, a human soldier in black armor stepped out, visor glowing red in the mist. The aliens screamed and opened fire, but the shots bounced harmlessly from his armor. He raised his weapon, calm and precise, and fired once. In the darkness, only silence followed. Outside, the alien fleet began to grow uneasy. Ships drifted closer, surrounding the warship, but fear spread among their crews. They had expected to face human weakness, not a nightmare. One whispered to another, "It's like the ship itself is alive. It's trapping our soldiers." And then, for the first time, the human warship moved. Its cannons extended fully, glowing with energy. The sight made every alien heart freeze. The alien commander shouted for retreat, but it was too late. The warship opened fire, tearing apart the nearest alien frigate in a single strike. Pieces of burning metal scattered across the nebula. Alarms blared through the alien fleet. "In the chaos," the young officer whispered. "Sir, this wasn't just a trap. They wanted us close. They wanted us all here." On the bridge of the human ship, the crew now fully awake, voices spoke calmly. "Targets locked, boarding forces contained, retaliation sequence continuing." Their voices held no fear, no hesitation, only certainty. Across the alien channels, a human broadcast cut through all jamming. It was a voice deep and cold. "You wanted to find humanity. Now you have." Inside the corridors, the last surviving aliens ran in terror, their footsteps frantic. Behind them, the sound of human boots followed, calm, steady, unstoppable. One alien turned to fire blindly into the darkness, but his shot only lit up dozens of visors staring back at him. Hundreds of armored humans stood in the shadows, waiting. The alien screamed, and then the feed cut. Outside, the alien fleet realized in horror that they had not ambushed a drifting wreck. They had stepped into humanity's hunting ground, and the hunt had only just begun. The nebula glowed faintly as the human warship roared to life. Its cannons burned blue fire across the darkness, ripping apart another alien vessel with terrifying ease. Alien commanders shouted frantic orders, trying to regroup, but their voices were filled with panic. They had entered the nebula as hunters. Now they were prey. Inside the human warship, systems that had slept for weeks came fully online. Engines thrummed, defense grids shimmered, and the bridge lit with calm blue light. Human officers stood at their posts, silent and focused. Their captain spoke only once. "Send the signal." A single officer pressed the command, and the ship broadcast a sharp pulse of coded energy across the void. It was simple, precise, impossible to block. It traveled beyond the nebula, beyond the alien jammers, straight toward Earth. The alien fleet caught the transmission. Their scanners shrieked warnings, showing the signal's speed. The commander's face drained of color. They called for help. His second-in-command snapped, "Block it! Jam it!" The crew tried, flooding every channel with static. But it was useless. The signal had already broken through. The commander slammed his fists against the console. Realizing the truth, the humans had lured them here, knowing even one message would summon something much larger, far from the nebula. On the edge of Sol system, Earth's defense network stirred. Deep bunkers on the moon lit with crimson alerts. Ocean bases hummed as colossal warships powered their engines. Soldiers rushed to stations, their boots thundering across steel floors. A voice echoed through the command halls. "Signal confirmed. Our people are under attack. Deploy the fleet." Back in the alien council chamber, the message appeared on giant screens. The chamber was filled with gasps and shouts. Dozens of alien species, rulers and generals stared in shock as the human distress signal blared across the galaxy. The council had believed this ambush would be secret, hidden away in silence. Instead, the whole galaxy now saw the truth. A young alien noble whispered in dread, "They are awake." Humanity is awake. On the warship's bridge, the captain leaned forward, his eyes hard. Hold position. Make them bleed. Outside, the alien fleet pressed their attack. Plasma fire filled the void. Explosions shook the nebula. But the human ship endured. Its armor drank in energy. Its shields glowed brighter with every strike. For every alien blast, the warship returned tenfold. In the alien fleet, fear spread quickly. One frigate turned too far and was split apart by a railgun shot that cut through its core. Another cruiser exploded as human missiles sliced through its defenses. The commander shouted, "Hold the line! They cannot win alone." But even as he spoke, doubt gnawed at him. The humans didn't need to win alone. Reinforcements were coming. Inside the alien boarding parties, still trapped in the warship's halls, panic turned to horror. The humans did not fight like prey. They struck silently, blades in the dark, rifles that burned holes through armor. Every corridor became a graveyard. One alien soldier managed to activate his comms, his voice screaming, "They're everywhere! We can't—" The transmission cut off with a burst of static. The alien commander slammed his console. He could feel the morale of his fleet crumbling. And then it happened. A new ping appeared on their scanners, faint at first, then stronger. Something enormous was entering the system, far away, but closing fast. The young officer whispered, "Sir, those are human warships." The commander's blood ran cold. "How many?" The officer stared at the display, unable to speak. Then finally, in a trembling voice, "Dozens. No, hundreds." The council chamber lit with chaos. Some aliens shouted to prepare fleets, others screamed for negotiations, but none could deny what they saw. On the displays, a formation of human ships appeared, giant silhouettes moving through the dark, engines glowing like suns. They were bigger than anything the aliens had believed humanity could build. Their hulls bore the scars of past wars, yet they advanced with calm precision, weapons already charged. Back in the nebula, the human warship received the returning signal from its fleet. On the bridge, officers smiled grimly. Reinforcements were on the way. The captain's voice was cold and steady. The galaxy thought humanity was weak. They thought silence meant fear. Now they will learn silence was only patience. The alien commander shouted for retreat, but it was already too late. The human ship locked its weapons on his flagship. Alarms screamed, metal groaned, and fear filled every alien heart. The alien crews looked up in terror as the nebula lit with the glow of something colossal breaking through. Humanity's fleet had arrived. The nebula trembled as a deep rumble echoed across the void. Alien sensors screamed warnings, their displays flooding with red as massive shapes pushed through the shadows. First one human warship appeared, larger than the drifting coffin they had ambushed. Then another, then another. Soon, the blackness of space was filled with glowing engines and steel hulls. Humanity's fleet had arrived. The alien commander stood frozen on his bridge, unable to speak. His officers stared in horror. These were not the small, fragile ships they had expected. The human fleet dwarfed their own. Their vessels armed with massive cannons, missile bays, and railguns longer than entire alien frigates. Each ship moved with perfect precision, sliding into formation as if they had rehearsed this moment countless times. The young alien officer whispered, "Sir, this is not a rescue. This is an invasion." The commander's throat tightened. He knew the truth. Humanity had not sent a few ships to answer a distress call. They had unleashed a fleet, one prepared for war. On the bridge of the lead human battleship, officers worked calmly. Their captain's voice cut through the silence. "Form the wall. No alien ship leaves this system." With that order, the human fleet spread out, surrounding the alien ambushes like a steel net. Plasma fire from the alien fleet struck out desperately, but human shields absorbed the blows with ease. Their return fire was brutal. One alien cruiser exploded instantly. Another was torn in half by a railgun strike that pierced straight through its core. From orbit, the battle looked like a storm of fire. Explosions lit up the nebula, burning wreckage drifted, and alien pilots screamed into their comms. "We can't stop them. Their weapons cut through everything." Fear spread quickly, faster than any command. Crews began to break formation, some fleeing toward the edges of the nebula. But the human fleet was faster. Their interceptors streaked out, small but deadly, cutting down escapees with ruthless efficiency. In the alien council chamber, the images from the battle streamed across giant screens. The gathered leaders sat in shocked silence as humanity's fleet revealed itself in full. Some shouted in disbelief, "Impossible! They should not have this power." Others whispered the truth. "We underestimated them. We always underestimated them." The silence in the chamber grew heavier with every explosion. For the first time in centuries, the mighty alien council felt fear. On the drifting human warship, the one that had lured the ambush, the crew watched their fleet carve through the enemy. The captain's lips curved into the smallest of smiles. "We were the bait. Now comes the spear." He ordered his ship forward, engines blazing. Together with the fleet, they pressed into the alien formation, breaking it apart like glass under steel. Alien soldiers, trapped inside the human warship, still fought desperately in the corridors, but their morale collapsed. Over comms, they heard their fleets dying outside, their commanders begging for retreat. Some dropped their weapons, trying to surrender, but the humans kept advancing, silent and unstoppable. The sound of boots striking steel became the last thing many of them heard. Back outside, the alien commander finally gave the order he had sworn never to give. "Retreat. Save what you can." His officers scrambled, but as they tried to break away, the human fleet shifted. A new formation unfolded, cutting off every exit. The aliens had nowhere left to run. The commander gripped the edge of his console, whispering, "This is not war. This is extermination." Then something even worse appeared. Far behind the first wave of human battleships, a massive silhouette emerged. At first, the aliens thought it was a moon drifting into view. But then its engines flared, bright enough to blind their senses. The ship was colossal, larger than anything in the nebula, larger than anything the galaxy had ever seen. Its hull was black steel, its cannons the size of towers, its bridge glowing like the eye of a giant predator. It was not just a ship, it was a flagship. The alien council chamber erupted into chaos. Leaders shouted, some demanding immediate surrender, others crying for more fleets. But none could look away from the screens. The flagship moved with terrifying calm, dwarfing every other vessel around it. Whispers filled the chamber. How could humans build this? How long have they hidden it? On the alien flagship trapped inside the nebula, the commander stared at the colossal ship with empty eyes. His crew looked to him for hope, but he had none left. Slowly he sank into his chair. "We thought we were predators, but we were prey all along." The human fleet held position, waiting for the flagship to speak. Silence filled the void, heavier than any weapon. Then the colossal ship sent a single broadcast across all channels. A deep, steady voice echoed into every alien ship and every council chamber across the galaxy. "This is Earth's answer." The alien crews trembled as the colossal flagship began to charge its main cannon. The light so bright, it rivaled the nebula's stars. The alien council chamber was filled with voices, but none spoke with confidence. The great hall, usually a place of arrogance and pride, now shook with panic. On the wide screens above them, humanity's fleet dominated the battlefield. Alien ships exploded one after another, their wreckage drifting like burning ash across the nebula. Every flash of light sent fresh waves of fear through the chamber. One alien leader slammed his claws against the table. "This is impossible. Humanity was supposed to be weak. Their fleets were scattered. Their technology was behind ours." His words were sharp, but his trembling hands betrayed him. Another shouted, "We must send more ships. Call every armada!" But the council's eldest member, his eyes heavy with centuries of memory, whispered what many feared to say, "It is already too late." The hall fell silent. Every leader turned to him. His voice was low but steady. "Do you not see? They planned this. They wanted us to strike. They allowed us to believe in their weakness. Now the trap is closed. On the screens, the colossal human flagship advanced slowly, like a giant walking through flames. Its main cannon glowed brighter than the stars, charging with terrifying power. Around it, hundreds of human warships formed a steel wall, pressing the ambushers tighter and tighter. The alien commander trapped inside the nebula was begging for orders, his voice breaking across the council feed. "We are surrounded. They are tearing us apart. What are your commands?" The chamber erupted again. Some demanded to cut communication and deny responsibility. Others shouted to sue for peace before the humans unleashed their wrath. But another voice cried out, "Peace! Look at them! Do you think they will accept peace now?" The words cut deep. Silence followed, heavy and sharp. The truth was clear. Humanity had not come to talk. They had come to answer. One counselor turned to another and hissed, "You promised us they were not ready for war. You said humans were nothing more than noisy children." The accused counselor barked back, "We all agreed." Every report said they were fractured, distracted, their armies too small. How could anyone have known this? The elder's voice rose again, grim and cold. "Because we forgot who they are. Humanity is not born in safety. They come from a world that kills the unprepared. We mocked them for their chaos, their wars, their survival. But that is why they are stronger than us." On the screens, a new horror appeared. Human dropships detached from their fleet and plunged into the heart of the nebula. They streaked down toward captured alien ships and stations, carrying soldiers with them. The counselors watched as the first transmissions from the ground showed black-armored humans storming through corridors, their weapons cutting through defenders like they were nothing. "No mercy," whispered a trembling voice in the chamber. "They are showing no mercy." Reports poured in from across the galaxy. Human fleets were moving elsewhere, not just here. Small outposts and hidden ambush bases were being hit at the same time. Earth's Navy had not just responded, it had launched a campaign. The Council realized in horror that this was not one battle. This was the beginning of a war they had provoked. One counselor, his voice shaking, demanded, "We must surrender now." Open channels begged them for forgiveness. Others shouted over him, furious and proud, "Surrender? To humans, never. We will crush them with everything we have left." But even their bravado rang hollow. The images above them did not lie. Their fleets were being destroyed, their soldiers slaughtered, their councils outplayed. Humanity had taken their ambush and turned it into a spectacle for the galaxy to witness. Then, the human broadcast returned. The deep voice from the colossal flagship spoke once more, reaching every ship and every chamber. "You chose this path. You thought silence was weakness. You thought patience was fear. Now you will learn what it means to face humanity united." The hall shook with fear. Even the most arrogant leaders lowered their eyes. The elder closed his, whispering words that carried across the silence. "This is the cost of our arrogance, and it will not end here." On the battle screen, the human flagship's cannon reached full charge. A blinding glow spread across the nebula, brighter and brighter, until the alien commanders covered their eyes in terror. Every ship in the alien fleet braced for the end. The glow peaked, the cannon ready to fire, not at one ship, but aimed directly at an alien capital world. The glow of the colossal human flagship's cannon lit the nebula like a false sun. Alien fleets scattered, desperate to flee, but humanity's wall of steel held them in place. Yet the cannon did not fire. Instead, it powered down, its silence somehow more terrifying than its light. For the first time, the aliens realized the weapon was not meant for them alone. It was meant as a message. Then came the next strike. From the human fleet, hundreds of dropships launched, their engines blazing blue fire. They fell like meteors, streaking through the void toward the alien strongholds in the nebula. Alien defenders scrambled, shouting over their comms, "They are sending ground forces! Prepare the stations! Hold the docks!" But their voices cracked with fear. The first dropship slammed into alien stations and disabled warships. Doors blew open with deafening thunder. Out of the smoke marched human soldiers, black armor gleaming, visors glowing cold light. Their movements were calm, precise, unstoppable. Plasma fire erupted from alien defenders, filling the air with searing light. But the humans advanced without hesitation. Their armor absorbed blasts, their shields flared and held, their weapons returned fire with deadly accuracy. An alien squad held a choke point, confident in their numbers. They had cover, heavy guns, and determination. But then the humans arrived. Step by step, their boots slammed against the metal floor, the sound like drums of war. Not a single one faltered. They raised their rifles and unleashed a storm. Within seconds, the defenders' line broke, their bodies falling where they stood. One alien survivor crawled backward, gasping in terror. He whispered into his calm, "They don't fear us. They don't stop. They are death itself." In another corridor, alien reinforcements rushed forward. They were met not by rifles, but by humans wielding blades crackling with energy. The black armored figures cut through them with terrifying ease, each strike clean and final. Screams echoed. Then silence returned, broken only by the steady march of human boots. Reports of the slaughter reached the alien council chamber. Leaders watched in horror as live feeds showed their stations overrun. Black-armored humans stormed through corridors, planting flags of Earth where alien banners once hung. A counselor shouted, his voice breaking, "This is no battle! This is punishment!" Another whispered, "And it is only beginning." On the battlefield, alien morale shattered. Some dropped their weapons, raising their hands in surrender. But the humans did not slow. They moved past them, leaving them cowering on the ground, as if they were already forgotten. To humanity, surrender did not matter. The war had moved beyond it. In the chaos, one alien commander tried to rally his troops. "They are flesh and blood. They can be killed!" he screamed. He charged with his soldiers, desperate to prove his words. For a moment, it seemed brave. But then the humans turned as one, their visors glowing in the dim light. Their rifles rose in perfect unity. A single volley answered the commander's charge. He fell before he even understood how hopeless it was. The alien council chamber grew louder, arguments raging. Some demanded they call every fleet in the galaxy. Others begged to surrender before humanity reached their homeworlds. But the eldest counselor spoke again, his voice grim. "Do you not see? Their silence was their preparation. Their patience was their weapon. We mocked them for being survivors, but survival made them stronger than all of us combined." His words silenced the chamber. For once, none dared argue. Back in the nebula, the human soldiers pressed deeper. Every corridor fell. Every stronghold collapsed. Alien defenders who resisted were wiped out in minutes. Those who fled found doors sealed, exits blocked, as if the very ship and station conspired with the invaders. Humanity had turned the battlefield into a cage. At last, the humans reached the central fortress of the alien fleet, a massive command station carved into an asteroid. Its defenders numbered in the thousands, walls lined with cannons and energy fields. The aliens believed this was unbreakable. They shouted, trying to strengthen their courage. "This is our fortress. They cannot take this." The first human dropship slammed into the fortress walls, shaking it to its core. Out stepped the soldiers, silent, steady, unstoppable. Their boots echoed through the halls, louder than the screams, louder than the gunfire. One alien officer whispered as he watched them advance, "This is not an army. This is a storm." The fortress doors shook under the impact of human charges. As they burst open, hundreds of black-armored soldiers marched in as one, their visors glowing red in the dark. The alien fortress fell within hours. Its walls, once thought unbreakable, now smoldered with fire and ruin. Human soldiers planted their flags in the rubble, their visors glowing in the smoke as they stood silent, their victory echoing louder than any cheer. The few alien survivors trembled, whispering the same words over and over, "They cannot be stopped." Back in the nebula, wreckage floated like ash in the wind. The alien fleet had been torn apart, their proud armada reduced to shattered hulls and drifting corpses. Humanity's warships hovered in perfect formation, their weapons still hot, their engines humming like beasts waiting for the next command. In the middle of them all, the colossal flagship loomed, its dark steel hull glowing faintly with energy. Every alien eye that saw it felt the same cold realization. This was not just a ship, it was Earth's judgment made flesh. In the council chamber, chaos reigned. Some leaders shouted for surrender, others for vengeance. Their voices clashed like weapons, but none could silence the truth shown on the battle screens above. Humanity had won every fight. Humanity had shattered every defense. And humanity was not stopping. One desperate counselor screamed, "Send a message! Beg them to end this. Promise them anything they want!" And they roared back, "Begging will only make us weaker. We must show strength." But the elder, who had spoken the hardest truths before, slammed his staff down. "Strength? Look at the screens. They have surrounded the nebula. They hold the field. They now hold us in their hands." His voice carried across the chamber, silencing even the proudest. A moment later, the chamber itself shook, not from fear but from sound. A human broadcast cut into every system, overriding alien controls. The same deep, steady voice that had spoken before now echoed through every hall, every ship, every capital in the galaxy. "This is Earth's answer." The chamber fell silent, every leader frozen in place. The voice continued calm, but heavy with finality. "You believed humanity would kneel. You believed patience meant weakness. You believed silence meant fear. But now you see the truth. Silence was the storm gathering, and now it is here." On the screens, the human fleet began to shift. Their warships spread wider, forming an iron wall around the alien capital systems. Alien sensors blared with warnings. Human fleets were appearing across the galaxy, one by one, blockading key worlds, surrounding trade hubs, cutting off supply lines. What had started as a single ambush had become a war humanity had clearly prepared for. The alien commander, still alive in the nebula, screamed into his comms, "Council, do something! They are closing in on my last ships! We cannot hold them." But his plea was drowned out by the human fleet itself. From the colossal flagship, the main cannon began to glow again, brighter than before. Its target was no longer the scattered fleets. It was locked on an alien capital world. Panic spread through the council chamber. Leaders leapt from their seats, shouting, clawing at one another. Some cried to launch every reserve fleet at once. Others shouted to send envoys to beg for mercy. But none could hide from the light that grew brighter and brighter on the screens, casting shadows across their horrified faces. The elder counselor's voice broke the chaos one final time. His words were quiet, yet they cut through every shout. "This is not negotiation. This is not battle. This is judgment. And humanity is the judge." On the alien worlds below, billions looked up at their skies in terror as the glow from the human cannon lit their heavens. Families fled to shelters. Leaders screamed into broken comms. Soldiers clutched their weapons, knowing they would never fire them. The entire planet waited for the fire to fall. Back aboard the colossal human flagship, silence ruled the bridge. Officers worked with calm precision, their eyes locked on their captain. The order would come soon. The captain's face was carved from stone, his voice low but steady. "Hold the charge!" The crew obeyed without question. The cannon continued to glow, building its power until the air itself trembled. In the nebula, the last alien commander finally broke. He sank into his chair, covering his face with his hands. His voice was hollow, stripped of pride. "We thought them weak. We thought them prey. But we were fools. We woke the storm." On the screens across the galaxy, the human flagship's cannon reached full charge, its light eclipsing the stars as it prepared to unleash Earth's vengeance. The light of the human flagship's cannon bathed the alien world in a blinding glow. From orbit, it looked as if a second sun had risen, cold and merciless. On the surface, billions screamed, waiting for the end. Soldiers dropped their weapons, families clung together, leaders hid in bunkers. Across the galaxy, every alien ruler watched through trembling hands, believing they were about to witness the destruction of an entire world. And then, silence. The cannon stopped glowing. The power drained away, the massive weapon folding back into the flagship's dark hull. For a moment, no one understood. Whispers filled the alien council chamber. Why didn't they fire? What are they waiting for? The silence pressed heavier than the threat of the cannon itself. It was not mercy. It was something worse. A new broadcast cut through every channel. The deep human voice spoke again, calm but unshakable. We could have ended your world. We could have burned your fleets, crushed your armies, erased your names. But we did not. Not because you deserve mercy, but because we choose the message you will carry. The words echoed across every capital, every council hall, every warship. On the alien worlds, crowds fell silent, listening with wide, terrified eyes. The voice continued, slow and heavy. Remember this day. You sought to test humanity. You thought us weak. You thought us prey. But we are not prey. We are the storm. We are the silence that waits. And when provoked, we do not kneel. We rise. The alien council chamber erupted in whispers. Some clutched their seats in relief. Others trembled in fear. They realized the humans had not spared them out of kindness. They had spared them to show the galaxy what would happen next time. This was not victory. This was warning. Back in the nebula, the remnants of the alien fleet drifted, powerless. Human warships surrounded them like wolves, circling broken prey. But no final strike came. Instead, the humans simply held position, their cannons glowing faintly, reminding the aliens that they could destroy them at any moment. Inside the human flagship, the captain gave the final command. Broadcast complete. Begin withdrawal. The massive fleet shifted, engines igniting in perfect unison. Slowly, like giants fading into the shadows, humanity's warships turned and vanished back into the void. The nebula grew quiet again, but this silence was heavier than before. The aliens knew now what that silence meant. It was the silence of a predator choosing not to strike. Yet, the alien commander who had led the ambush sat broken on his ruined bridge. His officers no longer looked to him for orders. They stared blankly at the stars, haunted by the faces of black-armored humans and the glow of the cannon that had spared them only to leave fear behind. The commander whispered, more to himself than anyone else, "We thought them children. We thought them fragile. But we woke something older than fear. We woke humanity." In the alien council chamber, the elder stood once more. His eyes were heavy, his voice like stone. "Do you understand now? They could have destroyed us, yet they chose not to. That is power beyond weapons. That is power beyond war. They gave us a gift far greater than survival. They gave us fear, and that fear will not leave us." His words struck every leader in the hall. None could argue. None dared. Across the galaxy, rumors spread faster than light. Stories of the battle, of the silent warship that had lured the ambush, of the fleet that arrived like thunder, of the cannon that could end worlds, and most of all, of the humans who walked through fire without fear. Planets whispered the same truth. The storm had come, and it wore the face of Earth. On Earth itself, the fleets returned home to silent applause. Humanity did not cheer. They did not boast. They only prepared, for they knew the galaxy would not forget. And they knew the next test would come. But when it did, humanity would be ready. The last broadcast, played one final time across alien space, burned into memory forever. This was your warning. Next time, there will be no silence. Next time, there will be fire.